Ms. Berry, you are the executive director of the Arab American Institute. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And according to your website, you're also, I'm going to quote here, a longtime Democratic Party activist who served as a member of the 2016 Democratic National Convention's Platform Standing Committee, close quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You support Hamas, do you not?
Senator, oddly enough, I'm going to say thank you for that question because it demonstrates the purpose of our hearing today in a very effective way.
Let's start first with a yes or no.
Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization that I do not support, but you asking the executive director of the Arab American Institute that question very much puts the focus on the issue of hate in our country.
Well, I got your answer, and I appreciate it. What is the, you support Hezbollah too, don't you?
Again, I find this line of questioning extraordinarily disappointing,
Is that a
Senator.
no?
That
Or
you
a
have
yes?
you have Arab American constituents that you represent
is
in
that
your great state.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that, but my time's limited, and I apologize, but is that a yes or a no?
A yes or no question to do I support Hezbollah? The answer is I don't support violence, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, or any other entity that invokes it.
You can't
So
bring
no,
yourself
sir.
to say no, can you?
No, I can say no. I can say yes.
But
What
you
I can
haven't.
say is
You just
your
can't
line
make
of
yourself do
questioning.
it. Do you
Senator.
support or oppose Iran and their hatred of Jews?
Again, I'm going to emphasize Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, none of them is going to, this
you
discussion.
can't bring yourself to say no, can
Sir,
you?
I don't support.
It's real simple.
Excuse me. I'm going to,
Ian,
if I may, as a Muslim woman, sir, I'm going to tell you I do not support Iran. But what I will tell you is that this conversation.
I'm running out of time. I'm
Okay.
sorry. You called our decision to cut funding. You called our decision to cut fund. Well, first, what's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency?
It's UNRWA, which is the institution that exists to provide services and aid to the nearly 6 million Palestinian refugees.
And you called our decision to cut funding for them, quote, an incredible moral failure, close quote.
That is absolutely correct. But again, I would suggest that conversation is about foreign policy.
We did that because 9 UNRWA staff members were fired for actually helping Hamas on October 7th. Isn't that the case?
I don't believe that that's correct in terms
Let
of...
me ask you one more time. You support Hamas, don't you? You support UNRWA and Hamas, don't you?
Sir,
Please.
I think it's exceptionally disappointing that you're looking at an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not support Hamas.
Bring yourself
I do
to
not
say
support Hamas
you don't
or
support UNRWA. You don't support Hamas. You don't.
I was very clear in my support for UNRWA.
Hezbollah, and you don't support Iran. You should hide your head in a bag.
Your time has expired. Please, Ms. Berry, I'm going to allow you to respond to any one or all of those questions at this point.
Senator Durbin, thank you very much for holding this hearing and for elevating the issue of hate crime. It's regrettable that as I sit here, have experienced the very issue that we're attempting to deal with today. The introduction of foreign policy is not how we keep Arab Americans or Jewish Americans or Muslim Americans or Black people or Asian Americans, anybody safe. This has been regrettably a real disappointment, but very much an indication of the danger to our democratic institutions that we're in now. And I deeply regret that, and I do hope that my testimony today has been helpful to understanding the need to respond to hate.
Well, that was Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana putting his racism on full display there. What got into his head, I have no idea. John Kennedy should be absolutely ashamed of himself. Louisiana should be ashamed to call him their senator. There was a moment there where she's saying, I do not support Hamas. And he's just ranting and raving about how she can't say that she doesn't support Hamas. And then he has the audacity to tell a woman that she should put her head in a bag when he himself has his head so far up his own ass and buried into the sand that he goes on a racist tirade like this. And then when she's given the chance to respond by Senator Durbin, the Democratic chairman of the committee, Kennedy is just completely ignoring her, just sticking his own head further into the sand or, up where I said earlier. I mean, it just makes his actions that much more worse that he would throw these accusations out there and then would just completely ignore her when Durbin gives her the chance to talk. And then, I mean, let's just break this down politically. Like, this is the Republican Party, especially under Donald Trump, who's out there lying about Haitian immigrants, and he put in the Muslim travel ban, right, during his administration. And then you also have J.D. Vance, who's also out there, the two, leaders of the Republican Party, just blatantly lying about immigrants, just blatantly being racist. So, of course, it's no surprise that John Kennedy goes on a racist tirade like this. He's had interactions with witnesses in the past that have been pretty racist, pretty misogynist, and this is kind of both of those things. But really, I mean, it's just the Republican Party has stooped to just being openly racist, thinking that that's going to stir up their base enough to get them to vote. And Kennedy he doesn't have an election coming up until 2028. So I have no idea why he resorted to this extremism here. But then going back to Durbin, the Democratic chairman giving, this activist the final word, which I'm so glad that she was able to have the final word over Kennedy and not let him just talk over her. It just goes back to Democrats are the party of decorum and of civility. The contrast between the two parties is night and day at this point. Let me know what your thoughts were of Kennedy's tirade in the comments. If you made it this far, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to Reflect so that you get my future videos about politics and the election delivered straight to you. My name is Brendan Plank. I'll see you in the next video.